Today, right now, in this day and age, in the middle of an after pandemic party, the economy is collapsing, all the inflation is going insane, gas prices are through the roof. Right now is the best time in human history to become wealthy, to build wealth. I said the best time, that's right. Now, I know it doesn't feel like it, but in this video, I'm going to prove to you that it really is the absolute best time in history to build wealth. And if you miss it, if you even blink for 1 second, you're going to completely miss it. And you're going to be 30 years down the line, still stuck in that rut, still living paycheck to paycheck, telling your grandkids that, oh my God, I missed the greatest time in human history to become wealthy. I completely missed the train and you're going to regret it. But in this video, I'm going to break down to you not only why it's the absolute best time, but exactly what to do about it to take advantage of this day and age. I'm the infamous Joel, and your boss hates me because I show you how to live a life of freedom, passion, and fulfillment. And if you're infamous too, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now let's go. Now I want to first start off by explaining one key concept. In order to figure out the secret of money, we have to go back to the history of money. In order to break down the secrets of wealth, we have to go figure out the history of wealth. So if you want to become wealthy in this day and age, you have to figure out what happened before and repeat the process. Now, one of the things that we've seen throughout history is that every wealthy person built their wealth in the age to which they belong to, the age that they lived in, right? You can't build wealth in some age that you don't live in. You're alive right now. This is the only time you can build wealth. So what do I mean by that? Let's go over the first case study. Let's go back to the year 0. Okay, let's go back to sandals and Jesus Christ times. Okay, all the way back then, all the way up to about 1750, about the year 1750 or so. So we're going all the way back from sand times and like biblical times to 1750. And what do we call that? We call it the agricultural age. What that meant was, for the wealthy people, for wealthy families, it meant that all of the money, all of the wealth, all of the economy centered around whomever owned land. Why? Because people that could own land or had land, they could produce food, they could produce crops, they could produce all the goods basically that societies needed at that time. So all the people who owned land were the wealthy people. Real estate derives from a Latin real estate. Doesn't mean tangible that you can knock on it. Real meaning royal estate. All the royal families, all the people that own massive amounts of land, they were the rich and wealthy people. And then they would hire people that worked those lands, and they would get them to farm, and they would get them to harvest the crops and plant the crops and things like that year round. They would hire them, and they would give them just enough food to get by, right? Like living paycheck to paycheck. That's where we get the term landlord from. They used to call that the lord or the lady, and they would work for them, and they would work for their fingers to the bone, and they would barely get by every single year, just enough food for them to survive. But the thing that really sucked about this age, the agricultural age, was that if you were born into a family that owned land, you were guaranteed to be rich. You were going to be rich and wealthy for the rest of your life. You were going to be just fine. These are the princes and princesses and the lords and ladies and all this other stuff. You were born into a rich family. Happy birthday. Okay, you were very, very happy and well off. If you were born into a poor family, that means a family that didn't own land. That sucks to be you, because you're never going to be rich. You're never going to be wealthy. If you don't own land already, all the land's already taken. Unless you want to build up an army and go conquer lands, you're going to be poor, okay? That's guaranteed. You're born poor, you're going to die poor. You're born rich, you're going to die rich. That's the agricultural age. But then something happened in 1750, somewhere around there, all the way up to about 1950. It's almost a 200-year stretch. We hit something called the industrial age. The beginnings, the slow beginnings, and the eventual peak of the machinery kind of age, the oil, the assembly lines, the automobile, the electricity, telephones and telegrams, and all the stuff that eventually powered modern society. All the infrastructure we have now with street lamps and electricity and Netflix in your home, all of that began with the industrial revolution. Okay, so we have that to thank for it. We wouldn't have the infrastructure we have now without the discovery of how to harness electricity, how to build machines to make things faster. And eventually what happened was that would weed out and that would kind of demolish the old age, which was the agricultural age, because hey, now we have machines that could do all of these jobs a lot faster. We don't have to have workers planting crops and doing all this stuff. We have all these machines, all these inventions now, and things can be done quicker, so we can build up societies much bigger, we can expand further, and we have these perfect cities and towns that are all wired and connected together. But let's get back to the point. Who were the wealthy people in these ages? In this age, I should say, the industrial age, it was people like Henry Ford, people like John D. Rockefeller, people like Andrew Carnegie, people who owned the steel mills, people who owned the oil rigs, people who owned the car companies and all this stuff. All these big major players in the industrial age were what was needed at that time. So wealthy people positioned themselves. They were the people that positioned themselves to become wealthy in that age. What was the needs of that time? And as a side note, what we also saw in this age, instead of if you're born rich, you're going to become rich, and you're born poor, you're going to become poor, now we had the first time that wealth could transfer. You could be born poor and become rich if you invent some kind of machine or some new system and some way to build steel faster or something like that. So now we're starting to see the first signs of someone becoming poor and becoming self-made rich. We hadn't seen that in a very, very, very long time. So this was the beginning of something new, something different. And what also happened around the time in this age was the need for public schools, okay? At the time, we had plenty of companies, we had plenty of big manufacturers and factories and industries and stuff. What we didn't have enough workers that were educated enough to work the oil fields, to work the assembly lines, to build the machines, to do all these things. So we started investing more in public schools. And what happened was there was this boom of the necessity for obedient workers. School was always meant to train and develop obedient workers. It was never meant to create entrepreneurs, because that's not the need of the time. They didn't need entrepreneurs. They needed more workers. There was a less workers, more entrepreneurs. So we needed to balance that out. We needed to have more workers. And the other thing that happened is that the entrepreneurs, the business owners, they would go to their employees and say, hey guys, if you get extra schooling, if you go back to school, I will, and you get a degree, I will give you a manager position, so you can skip all the hard labor, building steel and all this other stuff. You can skip that and you can just be a manager. You can be a top level executive in my company. I'll give you a higher paying job. So what happened was those same workers would get those higher paying jobs. They'd turn around, they'd go home and tell their kids and say, hey, if you go to school, get good grades, work hard and all this stuff, you could be like me. Right? You could be like me and become a manager, become a vice president, become all the stuff, a big name in a big company, have a good secure job, one income family, and have a big house and 10 cars and live well. It worked back then. It worked for my parents. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for you. That age has changed. It lasted all the way from 1750 all the way to about 1950. And what happened next? From 1950 all the way to about, I say 2008, we had a new age called the information and technology age. Who do we see become wealthy? People like Bill Gates, people like Steve Jobs, people that are taking advantage of this new hyper-industrial age where now we built the infrastructure. What's next? Technology, the speed of information, the way people are congregating together, social media, Mark Zuckerberg, right? We're seeing all these computers and technology, and the wealthy people are the people that are going to school and they're becoming computer coders and engineers and things like that, and they're taking advantage of that age. They're taking advantage of what's happening in that age. A lot of them, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they're dropping out of college. They're realizing that the age that their parents went to college for, they become managers, vice president, executive positions in these industrial factories. They're seeing with their own two eyes. They're seeing places close down. They're seeing the car factories in Cleveland leave over to China. They're seeing the stuff happening in Detroit where Ford's moving out and all this stuff. They're seeing all this stuff getting outsourced, and they're seeing the dying of the old age. They're smart enough to pay attention and say, hey, the economic age from before where my parents succeeded and did really well, it's coming to an end. And something new is on the horizon. And what was coming that was new? The home computer. the ability to get information faster at your fingertips, the mobile phone eventually, and we'll get to that in a second. All this stuff was booming, and they took full advantage of it. They said, you know what, I'm going to drop out of school. I'm going to take this new path where technology is going to change the way everything is going, and I'm going to position myself. And a lot of them eventually became billionaires, and they did super, super well. But what's the point there? They became wealthy in the age which they lived in. But they were smart enough to recognize the age. What are the rules of the age? What's happening right now? Not the past, not try to bring the past back. They knew the industrial age was over. What's new? These are natural ebbs and flows. These are natural tides that are occurring, and you can't control them. You can only adjust. You can't go back and try to make things the way they used to be. You can only adjust to how things are now. And they were smart enough to do that and said, you know, computers are the way, technology is the way, let me go do that. So what happened in 2008 when that came to an end? 2008, something was introduced to the world. And if you remember right, I'll give you a hint, smartphones. iPhone comes out, Android comes out, the smartphone boom. But more important than smartphones, the concept of smartphones. You now had a supercomputer in your pocket, and everyone had one. Everyone had access to record their own videos and put them up on the internet. Everyone had access to taking pictures and putting them up on the internet for the whole world to see. We were now a giant mob interconnected. Never happened before in human history. You could just be on the go, we don't need reporters, we don't need media anymore, we don't need anything anymore. We're interconnected. I get most of my information from YouTubers, and I'm sure you get most of your information from Instagram, TikTok, YouTubers, wherever you get it from. A lot of the old stuff is dying out. But more importantly than just smartphones, what else happened? The App Store. What else happened over on the Amazon side of things? Ebooks. If you put up an ebook on Amazon, Amazon said to you, I will let you keep 70% of the profit, I'll keep 30%, and we'll help you market and sell your ebooks. If you start a print-on-demand store, they will print and create your t-shirts, your pants, your coffee mugs, your all this stuff with your brand, your logo, and your messages. You just create the design, we'll create the product and ship it, and give you a percentage of the sale. The App Store, if you develop an app on our phone, we'll give you a percentage and we'll keep the rest, and we'll help you market and sell it. Big billion-dollar companies, the same people that became super wealthy in the information and technology age, are now at this high place where they own these big platforms, these big companies, Google and you name it. Now they're saying to the little guy, now they're saying to the poor, the people that didn't used to own land, the people that didn't have any choices before, they're saying to them, they're saying, hey, if you partner with us, you help us create products, services, ebooks, apps, you name it, you help us do things, we will give you a share of the sales, of the revenue, of the profit. This is the first time where the lines between the wealthy and the poor are blurred, and they're working together now. Or they can work together if you're paying attention. Right now, at this time in human history, you have the ability to post a YouTube video like this, post a link down in the description below, like I have some down below my video, and promote other people's products, other big, massive companies' products. Maybe I want to promote the new iPhone. It'll be in the link in the description. I'm just a regular guy. That has never been possible before in human history. And I'd get a percentage of that sale just for posting a YouTube video, just for doing something I can pull out of my pocket, record a quick video, put it up on the internet, say, hey guys, get the new iPhone. That's it. Just for posting a video. Just for pulling my phone out of my pocket and saying, hey guys, get the new iPhone. Here's the link in the description. Go get it. I get a percentage of the sale. I can legit start a business that way. I can legit become wealthy that way. I'm a 2-time convicted felon. I dropped out of high school. I'm nobody special, but I promoted other people's products all the way up to multiple 6 figures. You can too. My point is, of all of this, everyone who became wealthy in human history became wealthy in the economic age which they lived in, but they had to be smart enough to recognize what was happening. Right now, if you're going to a job, you're trying to pay your bills, all the prices are rising, everything feels like it's crashing down around you, it's probably because you still have shreds of the old industrial age thinking in your head. Go to school, go to work hard, get good grades, get a degree, get a manager position, do this, do that, that your parents or your parents' parents taught you, and it worked for them. Doesn't work anymore. Doesn't work anymore. So, with that being said, be smart enough to recognize the age you live in. We live in the partnership age now, the strategic partnership age. You don't know how to do something? It's okay. There's coders, there's people that'll work with you to show you how to do it. There's coaches. There's me. I'm here showing you how to do this internet marketing stuff. I can show you how to build a business. If you don't have an audience, but you have a product, find someone that has an audience. Tell them, hey, be my affiliate. I'll pay you a percentage. Partnerships is what it's all about now. Apple recognized it early. Amazon recognized it early. That's what the world is turning into. Now that we're all interconnected, the next big boom, the next step is partnerships. How can we strategically gather together and make a bunch of money together? I'm the infamous Joel, and I'm out.